are finally married!
Yeah.
And today we're doing a Q&A all about our wedding days.
Both the wedding ceremony and then our wedding reception party that we had when we came back.
Yes, so we thought we'd sit down today and talk to you. Well, it's going to be mostly me, but I thought Benji could join us for the beginning so we could hear a little bit about what you thought. And we asked questions over on Instagram, so thank you so much for all your lovely questions, for all your support, all your lovely congratulations and well wishes and things.
So sweet.
It's been amazing. So we are officially Mr. and Mrs. Lever. We have fully celebrated and had the most epic adventure ever. And now it's over and the wedding blues are hitting.
And we're settling back to just normality.
Normality.
And chores and stuff. So
Life, yeah. But
it is what it is.
I thought it'd be nice today to do a Q&A. So there will be a cruise Q&A, like breakdown, trip report coming up for you in a couple of weeks as well, and a haul. So that's all to come. But we thought as it was the freshest thing in our minds, we'd do the weddings first and answer your questions. So without further ado,
here we go.
let's get into it. Meg said, not a question, but thank you for normalising non-traditional weddings. It's been very validating. And someone else said, I think this was a fabulous way to get married. And no question, just respect for doing it your way. Love seeing you both change the mould. So before we kind of dive deep, do you want to give a summary on what we did?
Yeah, so we flew from London to Auckland, spent about a week in New Zealand, and then got on a cruise ship and then basically sailed all the way back to the UK through Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia, South Africa and Mauritius, Tenerife, and then back to cloudy Southampton.
So we got married off the coast of Australia between Sydney and Brisbane. We decided to do it in a way that allowed us to have an epic honeymoon and get married at the same time. And then when we came home, we had a wedding party in the UK, a very small gathering, which again we'll talk about towards the end of this video, so we'll do it in chronological order. But the party, we hosted 55 of our friends and family. An unconventional, non-traditional way. It was just the two of us. No friends and family were on the ship with us. We couldn't have been further from home in the middle of nowhere. Like we literally were at sea.
And I don't think it came from a position of like tearing up the rule book or trying to get away from tradition. We just wanted to do exactly what we wanted to do. I think the most important thing is you've got to do whatever makes you happy. You don't want to try and pander to other people's views on what you see at a wedding. I personally see a wedding as a joining of love between two people, and they're the only two people that matter in my eyes.
Yeah.
I think people get caught up in parents, grandparents, friends' expectations and not wanting to upset people or just doing things because that's what the norm is. But
they think they have to do it that way.
Yeah.
Also, we totally respect and understand that people have religions and traditions they want to keep to. We've been to some beautiful traditional and religious ceremonies that we have thought were stunning for that couple. Absolutely made sense.
And I feel like you pick bits and bobs from everybody else's weddings. Like, oh, I enjoyed that. Didn't necessarily enjoy that, so I won't do that. And you come to this thing and say...
just from experience and knowledge and just from conversations.
Yeah.
Which actually leads me nicely onto the first question. Did you both agree from the very beginning to have your own small private wedding?
I feel like we did.
I don't think it was one person wanted a really big wedding and the other just wanted to be the two of us. I think we both decided, like, what are the pros and cons to doing it? And then the more we talked about it, the more we both leaned into this idea of being just the two of us. We've said this before, we did it backwards. We wanted a really epic honeymoon. And when we started planning the honeymoon first, then the wedding plans fell around it.
And I think even if you are considering doing something not like your cookie cutter, like, I don't know, like church and then like hotel or whatever afterwards, go and do the wedding fairs. Go and see as much as you possibly can. Instead of seeing, oh, I like that, I'm going to do that, you'll very quickly see, definitely don't want to do that, definitely don't want to do that. And then you then start forming your idea of what your wedding day is going to look like, or wedding week, or whatever it's going to be.
Some people spend 5 days celebrating. And I agree with you on going to those fairs, looking and researching. I joined lots of Facebook groups. I joined ones about eloping and seeing other couples get married in the Highlands in Scotland or by a lake or even in Vegas. Like seeing couples do that really inspired us and gave us better vision for like what our day could look like. Obviously getting married on a cruise ship is not new. Like there are many couples have done it on renewed vows on board, and P&O Cruises have a ceremonies at sea team who specialise in it, so it's not like we were completely untraditional. Like it's not uncommon is what I'm trying to say. So I thought this question was probably the most appropriate to lead on to. After eloping, I had some guilty feelings about missing out on family being there. Did you? No. I think the answer is very easy for us both. No, we didn't. The whole day was absolutely amazing. Like it was I actually feel really emotional just even thinking about it. It was so beautiful.
Perfect.
And I'll go into like all the little details and things, but overall we couldn't feel too guilty because we were enjoying the time that we were experiencing, the memories we were creating, the commitment we'd made was so important to us both. Only moment that made me tear up was when I saw my mum on FaceTime. It was 5 a.m. because of the time difference, and the first thing she said to me was, "Oh, you look so beautiful."
In her like sleepy, croaky voice.
And hearing her say that made me cry. I would have loved her to have seen me in that moment. But outside of that, I just wanted to be with you.
We've spoken to so many people that have said, I didn't get to speak to my partner the whole day of the wedding because so busy. And we felt that at the wedding party we did when we were home. We hardly spoke the whole time when we had people there.
Yeah.
So to have that feeling on the wedding day would have been awful, I think.
Yeah.
And we had the exact flip side. We were together the whole day. We got ready together in the morning. The whole day was all about us. And that's
what it is. That's what our marriage is, of course.
So if it meant that the family had to maybe sacrifice in not being there in that moment, then, well, it was perfect for us. So,
yeah.
And I think they get that joy from knowing that it was so perfect for us.
I actually wrote down the things that we were told about weddings before we planned our own. 1, they're really expensive.
Yeah.
2, you don't spend a lot of time with your other half, like you just said. And 3, it's basically a big party. You're hosting lots of people, and therefore you won't get a chance to chat to everyone one-on-one for very long. So just be prepared for that. And you might not eat, and it's a lot of photos.
I didn't eat at all at our wedding party.
Yeah, so they were the things we were told about, so we kept that in mind. And then we also factored in our own personal preferences, which is we don't love big parties, we don't have big families and that many friends. Like we have core groups of friends, but we don't have...
We have a lot of couple friends, so we don't have like that big group of core social friends.
We didn't go to uni, we both don't have colleagues, like we don't have what I guess other couples might have, extended groups. And the last one was that we value spending our money on travel and wanted to do an epic honeymoon over a one-day party. What was your favourite part of the day?
So we put out a reel a few days ago, from filming, and after the ceremony, after everything, after doing all our photos, we had some dinner, and then we went back up to the room where we did the ceremony, and we took our shoes off, and you still had your dress on, I still had my suit on, and we just danced.
We had our first dance, and then we weren't ready to like
leave.
Leave because it was only a couple of minutes of first dance.
Yeah, it was literally just us. Literally no one else there. A silly dance floated around the room. It was so nice.
It was really nice.
I think that's my favourite part of the day.
That was one of my favourites too. I think my top was definitely the vows.
I was going to say that.
I feel like I have so much to say about the vows, but I did not know how emotional it would be. And there is a question later on about it, so maybe I'll go into it then. But it was stunning. Like, it was beautiful.
I always friends of mine have cried when doing their vows, and I was all like, grow up, it's fine, it's just words. And then I did mine, I was like, oh,
sobbing.
Okay. Yeah, I hardly can get through this.
We were both sobbing, weren't we? The captain was crying.
Yeah.
It was so emotional.
So good.
Do you feel any different now you're married? This has been our most asked question, I think.
No. I felt like we're that really cringe couple where honestly we knew straight away, from our first date, and then maybe in a couple of months in to really, really know. So I felt like we've been married for 7 years.
We have been that married couple, I guess. The relationship hasn't changed, no, but, calling each other husband and wife, becoming a Mrs., changing my surname, those things have felt different to me, but maybe that is why. I think letting go of my maiden name had a lot of emotional attachment for me, so there was a lot of weight for me that was really important. Becoming a leaver was a big deal.
The thing that I really enjoyed is, instead of saying my fiancé, my partner, my girlfriend, now I'll say my wife. It does give me butterflies.
Yeah,
almost.
same.
I feel like a big boy now.
I said this on Threads the other day. You on the phone to someone and you said my wife, and I was like, oh, he said my wife.
That's you.
Yeah. Do we feel any different in the relationship? No, but being married, I feel like we've leveled up. We are committed for life, and that is such a special thing to be able to say. Right, I'm going to do the rest of the questions solo because otherwise it's just Benji and I chatting for England. Did you have a wedding planner? We had a wedding coordinator, I guess, called Melanie. She works at P&O Cruises as part of their ceremonies at sea team, and we were allocated her from the very beginning, and she basically helped organise the day. And then we didn't speak to her again until after the wedding day. So once we were on board, we then had somebody on board called Sujit, who was the reception manager, and he had a colleague called Trina, and together they became our wedding coordinators and our witnesses as well. They were all absolutely amazing and we couldn't have done it without them, obviously. Leads me nicely on to, do the wedding coordinators give you a time to meet on board? We're renewing our vows on Arcadia. Congratulations. Yes, they put a letter in our room and gave us a day and time to meet them. We sat down and went through everything that we'd gone through with the wedding coordinator in the UK, Melanie, and we physically handed over things like our cake topper with a little figurine of Bonnie, our dog, to go on the cake, a memory stick with our music, and they also confirmed names and our family names and things for the certificate. So yes, we did speak to them before. How many days into the cruise did you get married, and did it distract you from earlier ports? So we embarked on the 16th of February, which was a Friday, and we got married on the 24th of February, which was the following Saturday. We had 2 ports in New Zealand, then we had a few days at sea, 3 days at sea, and then 2 days in Sydney. Actually perfect, because it was just so in my head and I had so much built up, and I just was ready at that point. So it really was, the timing was absolutely amazing, because it just gave us enough time to get settled in and sort those details, but also didn't distract from any ports. No, I felt like we still enjoyed the time on land, because there really wasn't an awful lot to sort out once we were on the ship. Did you feel pressure to be the best version of yourself on the day, and how did you handle it? And there was also a question about what did I do in terms of prep for the day, beauty wise. And I thought these two led nicely into each other. Yes, I did feel pressure to be the best version of myself, and I think that every bride and groom can feel like this, because there's so much emphasis on pictures and you're looking back on these forever. Your wedding day is such a core pillar moment for you as a couple, so it's hard not to stress and worry about what you're going to look like. But I did my absolute best to try and look inwards on where that pressure's coming from, who's putting that pressure on me, why do I feel the need to look a certain way. But there was definitely a lot of emphasis, especially when getting the dress, on how brides are only portrayed a certain way in all of the marketing, in catwalk models. I went to a show and I didn't see a single plus size bride. A lot of the dresses don't go up into plus sizes, so I did my absolute best not feel like I had to change dramatically, because I didn't need to. It's so easy to say, but your partner loves you exactly as you are. So with that in mind, I thought I would try and make myself feel best inside. I had to ask myself, how do I want to feel on the wedding day? Basically wanted to feel healthy and well and mentally strong. I did want to do some things, which I did beauty wise. So I had my teeth done, and that was something I wanted to do for a long time. Both Benji and I had our teeth done. He had Invisalign and I had composite bonding and a veneer. I can actually show you before and afters if you care about that. But I did have my teeth done. Absolutely no regrets for that. Love them, still love them now. I also had eyebrows microblading done, which again was something I wanted to do for a really long time, but finally made the decision, so I did that. I went for regular haircuts. I knew I wanted to have my natural hair. I didn't want any extensions. I actually found a new hairdresser and she was amazing, and I said to her, I'm getting married and I need your help. So we regularly cut my hair and she practiced the curls and kind of style I wanted for a while. Only other things is I get my nails done regularly anyway, so that didn't change. I didn't do fake tan, didn't have fake lashes. Instead of trying to lose weight, I wanted to feel well and healthy, so I actually did work with a personal trainer, and I was focusing on eating well, but I didn't do any calorie counting, I didn't do any dieting, I didn't join any sort of slimming club, none of that. I just knew I wanted to sort of maintain a well state of mind mentally and both with my body as well. I felt the best version of myself on the day. I felt really beautiful, and that was actually a question that came in. Did you feel beautiful? And I thought that was really nice, because yes, I did. I felt really beautiful. My hair was exactly how I wanted. I did my makeup myself, which I'm really glad I gave that a go, because I think I did a good job. Like, my makeup looked really pretty on the day. I had a lot of Charlotte Tilbury and I had a Natasha Denona palette that I loved to give me like sparkly eyes. The dress was so beautiful. So yeah, that's everything I was going to say beauty wise. There's a lot we could dive into actually, and I hope that if you're a bride to be, you don't feel pressured to change the way you are. You are beautiful exactly as you are, but if you do choose to, you know, make any small changes, or you want to focus on an area that makes you feel that extra confident, then I hope it comes from a place of, you know in your gut and heart that it's right for you. That leads me nicely on to, was it nice getting ready together? I loved getting ready with Benj. We had a playlist of all our favourite songs. There was a really random bunch of stuff that we had loved over the years, musicals, love songs. It was a beautiful playlist that we created and had it going all morning in the cabin. But the energy in the room was just so nice, so exciting knowing that this was my wedding day. I was so relaxed, so relaxed. I thought I'd feel pretty stressed and pressured, but actually champagne in hand, music playing, doing my makeup, it was one of the most special things that I'll cherish. So yeah, I did really love getting ready with him and having him do up my dress and stuff like that. It was really nice. What was your favourite part of your dress, and Benji, favourite part of your suit? So for Benj, he said that he loved how light his suit was, how it felt on him, it made him feel good. He loved not having to wear a tie, because he always said to me he doesn't like ties, honestly. If he has to wear a bow tie, he's usually taken it off within a few hours. So it's just not him. So it was great that we found a solution where he looked smart and he looked like a groom but didn't feel uncomfortable. I bought him a watch as a wedding present, and he had that on his wrist and he looked so gorgeous. I honestly looked at him and I was like, believe he's my husband. Favourite part of my dress? I think it was the way it made me feel. It wasn't necessarily down to any particular detail or the colour or the lace or the v-neck or the sleeves, all that. It was just putting it on me. It felt like mine. It felt like it had been made for me. It fitted like a glove. It was so beautiful and so comfortable. It did have a corset. I still was able to be in it all day and I was ready to take it off because of the heat. It was hot, but it was so, as soon as I put it on, I just did not want to take it off. I was like, I could be in this all day. So I was very lucky that I got to wear it again because it was just amazing. And then what are you planning to do with your dress? So I spoke to the bridal shop and asked them who they recommended for cleaning it. And they recommended a website called, I wanted to say Terrington Burchett. I'll leave them linked below. And they are known as professional wedding dress cleaners. I knew that if I wanted to preserve it, I had to get it professionally cleaned, and I knew wearing it at the party, it was quite black underneath because Benj and I took pictures up on the very top deck where the funnel of the ship is, and it was dirty on the floor up there. And it came back perfect condition, really beautiful, wore it again, and I was tempted, it wasn't that dirty from the party we had in the UK, so I was just going to box it up myself, but the same company do a service where they press, steam it, clean it, and then they box it up beautifully for you, and I have chosen to do that. I don't think I'll regret it because I don't envision putting it on. Maybe every anniversary I might get it out and try it on, but I want it to stay nice. So I know a lot of people choose to donate their dresses, or like my mum actually cut hers up and re-wore it as a short, small dress at future events, which is a lovely idea, but I don't think my dress works for something like that, and I would love the opportunity to keep it in the exact state and way that it is. On the cruise, did you walk into the ceremony together, or did Benji wait for you to come in? We chose to walk in together. This was a really nice moment. In fact, I'll show you the pictures. We're entering the marriage together. We are a team. We are united. It felt right to walk in together. And then we had to quickly set up some cameras, which I'll talk about in a minute. Yeah, we started the ceremony. So there wasn't any aisle. I didn't walk down an aisle. We didn't have music playing when we walked in. None of that. It was just very simple. Was your ceremony on the cruise legal? Huge congratulations. Thank you. Yes, it was legal. There aren't many ships that you can legally get married on because it all comes down to where the ship is registered. So even P&O Cruises, in their fleet, it's not actually possible to legally get married on a ship that's registered in the UK. However, some of their older ships, like ours on Arcadia, is registered in Bermuda. That's how it becomes legal, because our wedding is technically under Bermudan law, not to be too confused, but that is how it works. How long did the official ceremony by the captain take? I recorded the whole thing and I think it's about 15 minutes. So not too long, not too short. I actually thought it would be shorter, and if it'd been any longer, it just would have dragged. So it was kind of perfect. Yeah, I was happy with that. And then after, we had time to do pictures with the captain. All in all, actually, I think going in, getting started, ceremony and the pictures and the signing was probably about 30 minutes total. Did you write your own vows? And if so, were Benji's all you hoped for? Yes, we did choose to write our own vows and read them to each other, and they were absolutely beautiful. One of my favourite parts, as I said, about the wedding day. I had no expectations for Benj, so it wasn't necessarily a case of I hoped they would be XYZ. I knew he'd write beautiful words. He always does cards for me every Valentine's birthday and Christmas, and he always writes lovely things. So I had absolutely no doubts that his vows would be beautiful, and they were. What was your thoughts when saying I do? It was... I thought it would feel a little bit like transactional because I'd seen so many weddings in movies and in person, and you watch people say their vows, but in that moment for me, saying I do, I never felt so confident in saying those words because they meant so much to me. Like, I'd never felt like absolutely this is 100% the right thing for me. And sometimes in life you make decisions that you're not always sure. You have to take certain roads or paths and just hope for the best. But saying I do to Benj was like, I never felt so confident in my decision. I had absolutely no doubts. Did you have to have witnesses for the marriage? And if so, who did it? Yes, we did. As I mentioned, our lovely reception manager and his colleague, they together were our witnesses, and they were so sweet. They held the rings on a pillow for us until we needed them, and I can't remember who had what, the other one had my bouquet for me as well. So I just remember at one point when the captain told me to pass the bouquet, I just passed it to them, and they were there like surrogate bridesmaids. It was very sweet. They were the nicest people ever, and they are on our legal certificate as witnesses. So yeah, very, very, very grateful. How did passengers react to you walking around the ship in your dress? Applause, gasps. Lots of people clapped for us, congratulated us. We took photos outside on the promenade deck on deck 3, which is the deck where people walk around. So people were spotting us and like turning around and going the other way and trying to give us space because they knew we were taking photos. But when we weren't and we bumped into people in the lift or the corridors, they all said congratulations. We had a lot of people share sort of their stories and how long they'd been married, which was so sweet and wholesome. And then when we did our evening meal, when we walked into the dining room, there are probably a few hundred people sat down, and everybody was standing up and clapping for us, which was really emotional, overwhelming and emotional and special, and we felt like superstars. We felt really like special. Yeah, it was really nice when people wanted to clap. Did people on the cruise watch the wedding? No, it was a private ceremony. The doors were all shut. The actual ceremony room is right next to a really private area of the ship, so there's not a lot of footfall around there anyway. So yeah, no one actually watched. We didn't invite anybody because some people asked me, was there anyone you met on board and then you invited them to the wedding? And the answer to that was no. There was nobody there that didn't have to be there. What did you do after your ceremony to fill the day and night? Beautiful dress, by the way. Thank you. We were originally going to start in the spa and have like a chilled spa morning, but the guy that did my hair wanted me to wash it the night before so that it wasn't freshly washed for him to curl. So we decided against going in the spa because we didn't want the steam and oils to sort of ruin my hair. So we decided instead to go up to the top deck and have a dip in the hot tub outside in the sunshine. So that's how we started the day. We read our wedding cards in bed in the morning, and they delivered our breakfast, and we ate that through the morning while we were getting ready. So they had this incredible spread, which typically traditionally you have the day after your wedding day, so you have it in bed the morning after, but because we were in Brisbane that day, we asked to have it on the wedding day instead. They had like salmon, roses, pastries, fruit, but they also did us like cheeses, so we were able to kind of graze on it all morning. So got ready together and did my hair and makeup, and then we got married at 3:30. We did the photos until about 5:30, 6-ish. Had dinner. Once we finished dinner, we went up back to the ceremony room where we did our first dance, and we danced right up until about 9, and then we went to bed. And we actually watched Crazy Rich Asians. We watched it the night before, and then we finished watching the rest of it. That's what we did. It was very chilled, very beautiful, very sweet and nice, and just very relaxed, which is exactly what we wanted. What did you have for your wedding breakfast, i.e. your first meal married? We had a sit-down meal in the restaurant, And we originally were going to go to one of the specialty restaurants, but it just so happened on that day they were having a wine tasting event. So we basically just went to the main dining room. We had a normal menu like everybody else, but in the middle of the menu they have some steak and some specials that you can sort of pay a little extra for. So I had the fanciest, nicest steak. Benji and I said that we'd order whatever we wanted. We weren't precious about having the same food. We just wanted to eat whatever we both wanted. So he actually had a curry. The curries on board were absolutely amazing. And for our dessert, we had our wedding cake, which leads me nicely onto what type of cake did you get? So we ordered a plain vanilla sponge. Didn't want anything fancy, and I was so happy with it because I was worried it would be covered in marzipan, and I didn't specify. I just said I wanted vanilla sponge.
You want to do that?
Yeah. Mmm. Oh, it's good. It's really good.
Eat you.
I had that for pudding. It was quite big. It was very big. We ate a chunk of it and we ate some the next day, etc. But we did actually give the majority of the rest of the cake to our cabin host, and he took it to the crew area where all the crew shared it, which they were very happy about, and I did the same for my birthday as well. In fact, to be honest, the cake was too big to even fit in our little mini fridge, so we couldn't have kept it and frozen it and any of that sort of stuff, so we were happy we got to enjoy it. The cake must have had quite a journey because it got delivered to the wedding room, so it was in the room when we got married. Then they moved it to a fridge. Then later, once we finished all the photos, they moved it up to this outside area where we cut it, and I wanted to do it outside because the view was lovely and it just made sense. So they moved the cake and brought a cake knife up. That's how we got these pictures of us cutting it and video. So yeah, cutting the cake out there, and then they moved the cake back down to the fridges, and then somehow communicated between them that the baker who actually made the cake put it on a plate for us and did like a strawberry drizzle on it, and it was just perfection. It was one of the nicest cakes I've ever had, actually, so I was very happy. Congratulations to you both, you look stunning. Thank you. What was your first dance song? We actually had 3 songs. We had a first dance song which was Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis Presley, but we had the Boyce Avenue cover, which is the exact song you hear in the wedding video if you watched it. It was perfect, it was beautiful, it was really nice to sway to. We didn't do any practices, we didn't do any lessons. It was just an easy, perfect song and had such lovely words. We also had some music when we were signing our marriage certificate. Once we finished the ceremony, they were pouring us champagne and we were doing all that between me signing Benji and then the captain. We had 2 Disney songs playing. We had Happily Ever After playing first, the Jordan Fisher version from the fireworks show, means a lot to us both. And then because we knew that that would only be a 3-minute song and we'd be longer than that, we also had Ready for the Ride from the 30th anniversary for Disneyland Paris. So we had that playing after, which is a bit more of a bop and it's got good energy and has a lot of memories for us. And then into that evening, we did end up playing You'll Be in My Heart as well. It was really special. There's lots of special songs that day, and that was what we danced to. How did you organise the photographer for on board? You looked amazing. You guys are so nice with your comments. You always put lovely things. Thank you. Photographer was organised by P&O Cruises. They do several different packages depending on what you need, how many guests you have, just the 2 of you, how many photos. Basically said we wanted a photographer that was able to capture us getting ready, the ceremony, and that was basically it. I also did want photos of sunset, but there wasn't a sunset. I'll talk about that more in a minute. But the photographer was chosen for us. They gave us her details. We found her on Instagram, and then we also did a quick Zoom call with her just so I could show her the wedding mood board and vision board I'd created with photos that I liked. And I also gave her a shot list of photos that I wanted. So I really specifically wanted things like a flat lay, like a detailed shot of all of our bits and bobs, like my shoes and my perfume, etc. And I wanted some of us getting ready, and I was just a bit more specific to give her a vision. But she was actually actually so wonderful and she was so talented and I loved her style. Everyone has different style and ways of working, and I think for Charlotte we knew what we wanted and we led a lot of it. Benji just did like the dip kiss, and I mentioned to him that I wanted a photo like that and he went for it and she captured it. So that was one of my favourite photos actually. But also she was just really great at like moving us and posing, and she did a walk around the ship and spotted places that she thought would be nice for photos. So she was absolutely amazing. She held my handbag as well and she went above and beyond. She went to the room and checked that everything was how I wanted it. Honestly, amazing, like a bridesmaid. She just absolutely amazing. I feel so lucky, and we just had a really good vibe and energy with her. She was just really nice, so yeah, we're really lucky. This question leads nicely on to, did you have to set up your own recording equipment, etc., and did someone take pics? So yeah, pictures were covered, but they don't offer videography, and I knew I wanted video. Obviously there was no way I do this job and have this career and not film it. We both just said, look, let's just get, if I get clips, I get clips. I honestly just did what I could with what I had, and then when I went to edit it, at first I was a bit worried because I only had a handful of clips, and I said, Benj, I don't think we've got much of a wedding video, babe, because I didn't film a lot. And then actually once I put it together, put the music, edited it, it was only a few minutes and you guys saw it because we shared it. I thought it looked really nice. It's very homemade, it's not professional by any means, but it's exactly us and made with love, and I'm very proud of it actually. What is your favourite wedding photo you have from the day? I did just mention one of my favourites was the dip kiss one. I loved us just posing on deck 3 on the promenade. I love some of the getting ready ones. I love the ones of Benji chatting in my ear, whispering silly things, because we did that and learnt that trick when we got engaged. Actually, do you know what? Our engagement photo shoot was such a perfect way to practice. If you're engaged and you haven't done a photo shoot, I actually think it's really perfect because you can pick up ideas and tips for the wedding day. So we didn't need too much support in guiding us on how to pose, because Benj was confident at that point because we'd done the shoot in Dubai when we got engaged. So there were moments like that came out really natural because we had done it before, which was quite sweet. How did you incorporate your family into your big day? I wrote a personal card to each family member. So my mum, Benji's mum and Benji's dad. And then we gave each of them a personalised bottle of champagne that said the levers on it. And then we also FaceTimed them all. We spoke to them on the actual day, and they gave us wedding cards as well, which we took with us. So we were able to open them and read their words to us. My mum did beautiful poems to us individually, one for Benji, one for me. And the cards are really special and sweet. But otherwise, there wasn't an awful lot more we could have done, I think. We did also film the whole ceremony from start to finish, the whole 15 minutes. And I edited that and sent it to them literally the next morning, which was still the same day for them because of the time zone. So they did actually get to see the whole ceremony unedited with everything the captain said. They saw the whole thing. We did think about live streaming it, but it actually worked out. I didn't want the stress of making sure everyone was tuned in and could they hear and was it clear. So I thought it was easier to do one video clip and then I could edit it and send it, which worked out perfectly. What part of the day, either the wedding or the party, surprised you? It was so the vows. I know we talked about it briefly at the beginning, but the vows were so emotional. And one thing I keep saying to all my friends that have either already been married or about to get married is that no one told me how emotional it would feel. And the biggest thing I kept saying to my mum was, I do not know how people host a full wedding reception after they've done their ceremony, because I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. Every word, everything that was said between us. And after it kind of felt like I'd had this huge emotional, like I could breathe again, and all I wanted to do was just relax and be with Benj and soak it up. I couldn't imagine having to then be a hostess and be in party mode. And I understand that people obviously would have the adrenaline of the day and they just keep going. But for me, the ceremony was such a surprise in that I didn't realise it would make me feel so emotional. It was so emotional. It was so beautiful. Was there an unexpected element to your day that you couldn't have planned? The only thing would probably be the weather, which was totally out of everyone's control. It didn't rain, but in my head I'd envisioned pure blue sky, a sunset, because we'd had that in the Caribbean before and we'd had lovely photos at the back of the ship in the sun. I kind of had this mini vision, and actually weather is something you really can't control. However, the photographer said to me in the morning, Charlotte, she said, the weather's so perfect today, and I was like, what? Are you saying what I'm saying? It's grey, it's a little cloudy, hun. And she was like, no, for wedding photos, it makes it really romantic, really like beautiful colours. It just works, because if it's too sunny for the photographer, that can be too harsh on your skin. It's actually sometimes not great to have it too bright. The weather was the only unexpected thing that in my head, I had this vision. It didn't look the way I did, but actually ended up working out anyway. Tips for the day to avoid stress. If you can be as prepared for every vendor as possible. So for example, I had a vision board for my hair, the cake, the flowers and the photographer, and so each of those had a mood board that I'd created with Benj. If you can make it as clear as possible, you know, having clear seating plans, where you want things, get your vision out of your head as much as possible, every tiny detail, the exact kind of flowers you want with the exact colours that you want, all those things make it so much easier for the people that are helping make it possible. What are some fun touches you added to both events that you'd recommend? Having our own fragrances, which we picked together, that was really sweet, nice touch. We both ended up with fragrances from Penhaligon's. Really recommend if you're looking for like a luxury, nice, special fragrance. A playlist of our favourite songs when we're getting ready, already mentioned that. Bought a nice bottle of champagne a few days before and we kept the cork. The little figurine of our dog, Bonnie, she was like eating the cake. We had her on the side. Yeah, I'm really glad we did that and had a little nod to her, because Bonnie sadly passed away a few weeks ago. And at the time, obviously, she was still in our life, and having her incorporated in that way was really nice. Did you send out custom invites to your friends and family for the party? Because we were not having a traditional wedding day, I didn't want to send out traditional wedding invites because I was trying to manage expectations on what people were being invited to. So I actually decided to do digital invites, and originally I was just going to email everyone, and I made this beautiful design on Canva. And it did the job, it said everything it needed to, but I knew that people would lose it, and it didn't give me a very good system to be able to RSVP or not. So I ended up using a website. This is not sponsored by any means. They're called Paperless Post, and we had a mini website made up automatically through using them, and it was so good. And it meant that we could have the guests RSVP yes or no with their email address, and I had a personal list of everyone that was attending and who couldn't make it. I can't show you because it will give you everyone's names. The day before the party, I sent out a reminder email that just said where, when, times, food, dress code, etc. That was perfect. So we did all of that digitally for the evening, and that saved on so many costs. And you'll notice through me talking about planning this party, it was all about keeping the cost down, because the minute I started thinking about, oh, I need to have proper invites, it then started to feel too much like a wedding day, and that was not the point. The point was to have a celebration and party when we came home. That was all digital, but then for our family members that came for lunch, I also made a separate invite on Canva, and I had these printed on Moo, because I've had my business cards printed with them. I've also been using papier for our thank you cards recently, so I've had a few different brands. But Moo, we ordered, I think it was 25 of these, but we only had 14. And then obviously people were couples, so I've got loads of leftovers, but it's fine. It was the smallest quantity I could find, and I wanted them to feel nice. These little cards, I'll show you, basically said, Mr. and Mrs. Lever's wedding lunch with all the details. I don't think there's anything on there that I can't show you. No personal, no phone number. Everyone that was invited was either our parents, my brother, and Benji's grandparents, auntie, uncle, cousins. We, just gave them to them like this, which was really nice. So it just meant that they could put this on their fridge, and we chose to print these because obviously wedding lunch was catered more towards sort of our older family members, and those people went home after the lunch. So the party was more for like friends and all the younger people, and then the lunch was for grandparents and relatives. Did you have a lot of work to do for the second day? It was so soon after your wedding, I'd be exhausted. No, I didn't actually. It wasn't a big party to manage or host. We chose to have it at the Cozy Club in Bournemouth, which was on the top floor. And the greatest thing about that is that there was no higher cost. You just had to meet a minimum amount, which we did fairly easily with the food and some drinks. So it was not expensive at all for us to host it. And there wasn't an awful lot of logistics because the venue hosted the lunch and they did buffet food. And I just had a few decorations and pick a mix. The photo booth, I liaised with him and he came at a certain time, set up and left himself, so that was pretty easy. We chose not to do any balloons or any wedding favours, and the only thing we needed were just place card names on the table, which I did for everyone, so everyone knew where they were sitting, which was really easy. I just did that on my Cricut machine and I ordered the place cards from Amazon. And then we did a welcome sign on a mirror. The mirror and the easel were from a charity shop, and the text that said welcome to the wedding party of Brogan and Benji Lever I made also on my Cricut machine. They gifted me and I worked with them a few years ago, but I'm just sharing with you because I still use the machine. I think it's brilliant. I use it a lot actually for various projects, but for the wedding it was perfect. I just have the Cricut joy. That's how I did the sign, so there wasn't much more to organise actually. Did you wear your wedding dress to the lunch with your families? Yes, I did. I think it was 12 o'clock I put my dress on until 10 p.m. and then I had it was a silver, but it looks gold actually in real life, sparkly play suit, just so I could finish off the rest of the evening to give me more chance to walk around and be a bit more free. And I wore the play suit from 10 till 1, so 10 p.m. till 1 a.m. Did Benji or anyone do a wee speech at the party? No speeches. This was something that was a hard no for us. I actually really like speeches at weddings. I think they're really sweet and wholesome, but in our situation, we just didn't need them or care. Did you repeat your vows at your after party for your friends and family to hear? Again, no, it just wasn't that kind of thing. The vows really were for Benj and I, but like I said, we did film it and they already heard them on the actual day through video, so didn't need to do it in real life. Food at the party, it looked yummy. Yeah, the food was really yummy. We actually decided we were going to do canapes, and then the venue had a finger food buffet menu and I quite liked it. We had things like just like chicken bites and halloumi bites, and we also had brownie bites as well. So the food was really good. Everyone said to me the food was really nice. We honestly already had a nice meal with our family. So the sit down meal we did, everyone got to order what they wanted on the menu. And then for the evening, we didn't want to have to cater too heavily because the expenses were just crazy. So yeah, we did the finger food buffet and that worked really well. I will say the plates were really small. I would have liked bigger plates, but hey, I didn't. That's by the by. People went up a couple of times. Congratulations, Brogan. I'm getting married next year. What was the best addition to your wedding party that you would recommend, e.g. photo booths, props, etc.? The photo booth was perfect because it allowed us to take photos with all our guests in a really fun, natural way where it didn't feel too forced, but we all got photos together. Photo booth company, our link James, their company is amazing. I met him 9 years ago and I always knew I wanted to book him at some point. Photo booths I feel like can and have been done a lot, but every time I go to like PR events, if there's a photo booth there, I love it. I have so many photo booth pictures of Benj and we just think they're brilliant and fun. So yeah, loads of props, really good fun. Some people went in individually and did some as well, but mostly we were just inviting each individual couple or group or whoever into the booth with us, and then they did a guest book which everyone had their picture stuck in. And they signed around the guest book, and then each guest got to keep a physical printed copy as well. How did the pressing of the flowers kit / book work out? So some of you may remember if you watched the packing videos in the lead up that I bought a flower press and I haven't opened it since. A few days after the wedding, we sat down together and we basically cut up bits of the flowers as best as we could. We watched videos on YouTube and there are layers of the flowers in here. So we haven't opened it since, so it should definitely be flat and dry. So I'm really excited to take this out. Maybe I'll show you in a vlog so we can see what happened. Could be a complete flop, but at least I tried to preserve my bouquet. And then on Ikea yesterday, these arrived. I ordered these frames, just a clear frame. They were quite cheap and you can either hang them or stand them up, but ultimately I haven't quite finished that DIY just yet. Where did you get your rings? We got all 3 rings. So my engagement ring, my wedding band and Benji's wedding band from Cara Jewelers. I actually made a whole reel on Instagram. We did the engagement ring together in Dubai, and then a few months later they opened a shop in the Burlington Arcade in London and they helped design my wedding band to complement my engagement ring and designed Benji's ring with him for something that he wanted. I love wearing my rings. They feel so nice on my finger. The little diamonds on my wedding band are so beautiful and they just look so nice with mine. So that's the rings. Do you have any regrets, and what would you do differently if you had your time over? I have no regrets, and I know that's easy for me to say and sit here now it's all done and dusted, but there is nothing I would have changed. It was a really beautiful wedding day. It was exactly what we wanted. The party went better than I thought. I didn't want a really leery, drunken party, and I thought people might use it as an excuse to do that, but it wasn't. It was really low key. There were lots of groups mingling, lots of chit-chatting. People stayed till late. It was really really wholesome and nice. It was the kind of party that I want to attend. So hosting something that I was really comfortable with, that all my friends loved chatting to each other. It wasn't too big or small. It was just a perfect party and celebration, and the wedding day was magic. It was so romantic in every way, and I couldn't have asked for a better day. What is the one piece of advice you would give to someone else about weddings? Oh, I think we've pretty much summarized this, but please do whatever suits you guys as a couple. What do you envision? And I know that's really hard when family put pressure or expectations on you, and especially if family are financially involved, that can give them a say, or they feel like they can have a say. A wedding isn't about all the bells and whistles and all the lavish things and showing off. It's not about that. It's a celebration of you as a couple. And to us, I think it was about separating what marriage meant and getting married and our vows versus what the wedding looked like and the celebration that we wanted to have. And once you can establish those things and you dictate your budget, if it's a huge budget or a tiny one, it really ultimately comes down to what makes you guys the happiest. So I hope in some roundabout ways, Benji and I may inspire some couples to do something outside of what tradition or society expects. I think that we are going to see a lot more unconventional weddings and people doing things differently. I personally do think that weddings are becoming really expensive, and I think I read average wedding last year was over £20,000. Obviously honeymoons and the hen do and the dress and all of it combined is a huge expense, and I have friends that are still paying off their wedding days years later, which I think is such a shame, but also it was the best day of their lives and it was absolutely worth every penny to them. So it's really subjective. What works for you might not work for someone else. I think for us, ultimately, we just had an amazing time and I'll remember it forever. Thank you for coming along and listening with me. I feel like this has been such a long, waffly video, but so important to sort of be able to share all the little details. If you're getting married, then congratulations and have a wonderful wedding day. And if you were just here because you've known me for a month or 10 years, then I hope you've enjoyed hearing about our special day and for being with Benji and I and supporting everything we do, for watching the cruise vlogs, for subscribing, and hopefully sticking around to see what comes next for us. So thank you for watching this one, and I'll see you again in the next ones. Bye!